is up, Buttes and viewers? My name is Kiss the Butte, and welcome back to KTV Network. Today I'm reacting to one of my favorite YouTubers, Brett Cooper, the non-binary samurai game no one wanted, which is a fact. I wonder what her stance is going to be here, because I will say player sexual is a thing in games now, but not Assassin's Creed Shadows or Dragon Age the Veilguard. If you like the game, no disrespect to you, cool. You like it, enjoy it, fine, you can, but not for me. But let's see what she has to say, and I'll interject if I disagree or agree on anything.
Have you ever wanted to play a video game where the protagonist is a black Japanese samurai who has gay love affairs with non-binary characters? Well, if you have, then Assassin's Creed Shadows might just be the game for you. So one of the most anticipated games of the year just came out, and gamers of the world simply are not happy. Apparently, Assassin's Creed Shadows is just not good. And it kind of ties into what we were talking about in regards to Snow White just at the beginning of the week, because it seems like there are two huge issues here. Number one, the quality is supposedly just lackluster with a half-baked story and half-baked characters. And two, the DEI initiatives that Ubisoft shoved into this game are very much on display. So all of that means that there are two issues here, and people that are simply just criticizing the quality of the game are getting lumped in with the anti-woke culture war fighters. It's this whole mess of people being upset. But this does beg a broader question of where is the gaming industry actually going, and is it too far gone for most gamers? Now, before we dive into this story, I want to remind you all that I am going on tour this spring. It is my first tour ever. I am so excited to come to cities near you and hopefully meet some of your beautiful faces. The links to buy tickets in all of the different cities are in the description below. I hope you guys can make it out. I am just super excited. I think it'll be a ton of fun. And also, of course, if you not heard about this game, it is the new Assassin's. Make sure to ring that notification bell. All right, so just a couple of weeks ago, the new Assassin's Creed game called Shadows came out. It hit the market, obviously, to
I love that she's reacting to this or talking about it.
An uproar of criticism, but also publicity. And basically, if you guys have not heard about this game, it is the new Assassin's Creed game, and it is set in feudal Japan. And when the trailer of this came out last year, I had just finished watching Shogun, so I was actually like I was like the perfect demographic for this game. I don't even play video games. I was like, oh my god, this would be so sick. I'm like in the Shogun mindset. And then I watched the trailer, and I was like, what the actual heck is going on? Now, the game was said to follow two protagonists, a black Japanese samurai, Yasuke, and a female shinobi, or a Japanese spy, named Nawe. And like I said, the trailer came out last May, and even last May, in 2024, it made an insane splash, because people were obviously confused about a black samurai leading a video game that is set in feudal Japan. However, at the time, Ubisoft confirmed that Yasuke was a real historical figure, so they weren't just pulling
Because he sticks out like a sore thumb.
this out of their ass. Although, when you actually look at his history, the time that this man spent in Japan as a samurai in his actual history is very, very murky. There is a book written about him, but again, we just don't really know a lot about him. So because of all of this, last year people were very quick to call out Ubisoft for political pandering, for just trying to dig up and search for a black character.
And we know why. They chose Yasuke, St. George,
in order to basically check off a diversity box for this game, which is ridiculous because they would basically be checking off every single box in the book if they had just focused on creating actual Japanese characters. And of course, it didn't help that amidst all of this anger and chaos over the Black Samurai, the developers were simultaneously hinting at something else, which actually at the time back in May, the anti-woke warriors didn't really sniff out yet, considering that the coverage was completely left-wing. And I know this thanks to Ground News. And my partners over at Ground News cut through the noise with an unbiased perspective and show both sides of every story in the news, prioritizing
this
honesty
girl and
over
her
everything. Their unique
segues.
technology even allows users to compare how's
good.
later, but back to the point. At the time when all of this was happening, I did an episode about this on my old channel, basically talking through Yasuke the Black Samurai, his history, what the uproar was about, all the comments, all of that good stuff that you guys know I used to do. And in that video, I featured a video by a gamer who kind of accidentally went viral after posting about the trailer and his response and the controversy. And since then, I have been following him. I've watched him explode onto the scene and just grow on YouTube and on X, and I am so excited to have him on the show today to give his insight as a gamer into this entire controversy and what it actually means for the industry. And in case you guys did not see that old episode, this is his video, and it will provide some extra context for what is all going on.
Now, I'm annoyed because they're using Yasuke, and I'm going to tell you why. Yasuke is what they want to say is the first black Japanese samurai, when in all actuality, he was not even a samurai. He was a retainer, so
I remember seeing this.
He wasn't even a full-blown samurai. And for all of the characters they could have used for Japan, all these kind of different people they could have picked from, they picked Yasuke. Why do they pick Yasuke? Because he's black. So instead of using a Japanese man in a game based in Japan, like they did with the other Assassin's Creed games, Altair, he was an Arab, obviously, one of my favorites.
It was all to capitalize off of BLM when it was hot, and that's when this game was being developed,
Connor in Assassin's Creed 3, he was Native American. That was fine. And the most famous of them.
Strike while the iron is hot. And, I think they should have released that game then. But then again, I think video games take about 3 to 4 years to develop. So they should have been smarter about not following for the most part, a trend, which that's what it was, and sadly so.
Jamal Ezio Auditore, who is Italian. So why in all those games would you have a character representative of the region they're from? But in this game, you want to demote a Japanese man and then use Yasuke.
I mean, seriously, I couldn't have said it better myself. And this video, I mean, it amassed 9.2 million impressions after he posted it, which makes sense because all of this was common sense. He wasn't saying anything revolutionary. He was simply saying what we all were thinking when we watched the trailer. And it was just so amazing hearing that from somebody who has been playing the game for years and is obviously so invested in this franchise. And because of all of these feelings, Ubisoft absolutely got destroyed on social media. Fans were so confused by what they were doing, and it dulled a lot of excitement that people had about this game because, as Keita says later in that video, people had wanted an Assassin's Creed based in Japan for years. They had been begging for this. And so to then see that trailer and it just be a black guy, obviously for social justice warrior reasons, it was like a slap in the face to so many people who had wanted this for so long. And Keita, the gamer that you just saw in that video, had some incredibly important context to add because guess when Assassin's Creed Shadows went into development? Take a listen.
That decision was made in 2020. 2020, 2021. What was going on around that time frame? You had the height.
What did I say?
The George Floyd stuff, the DEI initiatives. During that time frame, a lot of things were racially charged. So of course they were like, yeah, let's put Yasuke in.
Let's put that in there.
When you do that, you make people think, oh, whether you're doing it or not, you make people think, oh, you're just trying to virtue out somebody's skin color. They wanted him to be that focal point, that virtue, but they knew that it's not that kind of time anymore. It probably would have got by 2020, 2021. Now people are not with that shit. They see it, they're like, no, I'm out. I'm not doing it.
So there you have it. This game went into development in 2020. Here is the prime example of what BLM did. They saved the world. Thank you, Patrice Cullors, or whatever the heck your name is. I'm trying to, eliminate you from my brain. But guys, amidst George Floyd and the race riots and, white people crying in the streets because they hated the color of their skin, all of us being told that Black Americans were the most oppressed individuals in the entire world, this game was created. So, of course, at that time in history, Ubisoft was going to be clamoring for some kind of way to capture the moment and show that they were an ally. But, video games, they take a long time to create. And 5 years later, the culture has radically changed. The moment is long gone. BLM has lost its power, and Ubisoft is now suffering the consequences. But this whole situation is about so much more than just the grifting. Because when I asked Keita, who is now my new resident Assassin's Creed expert, about the game and how he's feeling after playing it for the last week, the first thing he said was not the DEI or I can't believe I'm playing as a black samurai. It was actually about the quality of the game itself. This is what he said.
It is not a very good game. There's bugs out of the...
I heard some people fall asleep too. Yes.
Out of the ass on it. There's glitches in it where it's not working properly, textures aren't loading in properly. Facial animations, they just look so stiff. The dialogue and voice acting is the worst I've ever experienced in a video game. Not even just the hate, it's very bad. The main actress that's playing the Japanese character in the game, Naoe, when she delivers her lines, I can't get invested because she sounds like an AI robot.
I mean, at every turn, he and other gamers on X, on YouTube, in their publications, they have had critiques about the gameplay, the dialogue, the music being completely out of touch. I mean, who wants to listen to cyberpunk music when you are playing a game in feudal Japan?
It's set in feudal Japan, so the music that they have for a lot of these scenes does not fit at all. It'll be some pop, Japanese stuff in the background, or some rock, or they still have hip hop infused with Japanese stuff for fight scenes. It sounds like cyberpunk music when you're fighting, and I'm like, why are we just doing this after this emotional moment? The music,
and it seems really racist of them. They're trying to be so progressive. It just comes off as racist to put in hip hop in this game.
Doesn't fit, and I'm like, nothing fits.
I mean,
for Yusuke,
that entire situation just sounds like finding tofu at a steakhouse, which would never happen to me because I eat at home thanks to Good Ranchers. And as
here
you
we
all
go
know,
with the
puts American values first, just like we do. Their meat
She's
is
so good at it.
2025. Claim your free meat and $40 off. Now, one of the interesting things about this story is that allegedly Ubisoft knew that the game had problems, which is allegedly why they delayed the release from November of 2024 to now March of 2025. I mean, these are the types of articles that were being written about them in November. This headline reads, Ubisoft boss says it knows players think it has an inconsistency in quality, so it delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows to flip that script. Well, apparently that did nothing because people have still been disappointed, so I do not think you flipped the script at all. Now, echoing everything that Keita said in our interview when we were chatting about this new game, another gamer named Legacy Killer HD made a 30-minute video about how this game was a complete mess from start to finish. He tweeted this about his video saying, I did not enjoy Assassin's Creed Shadows. Combat and exploration, it felt restrictive and unbalanced. Story, mostly boring. The duo protagonists never clicked for me as one is far more enjoyable to play, but is hamstrung by baffling design. I mean, guys, the comments underneath his video were just rich. Everyone was calling them Ubi about his video, saying,
it's restricted and unbalanced. Yeah, I heard Yusuke plays terribly. And that
I did not enjoy.
The story doesn't really develop until the end anyway.
Assassin's Creed Shadows. Combat and exploration, it felt restrictive and unbalanced. Story, mostly boring. The duo protagonists never clicked for me, as one is far more enjoyable to play, but is hamstrung by baffling design. I mean, guys, the comments underneath his video were just rich. Everyone was calling them Ubislop. They were saying that they were non-binary, binary for this game. It was just pretty hysterical. Like, nobody is enjoying this in the slightest. They're all playing this game to figure out what's going on. They're playing this game because they love Assassin's Creed, but they know that this is not the quality that they should be getting. In another review, this one from Dual Shockers, the hits just kept coming. These writers said, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a bloated collection of uninspired quests that quickly turn into a repetitive, boring grind. While the art and history teams deserve recognition for their efforts, it is unfortunately wasted on a narrative that goes nowhere, is poorly explained, and has no
And I hate games that are about grind. I hate it. I hate it. If anything requires a stronghold, I'm not playing it. Certain people may want to play it, but to me, grinding is something that I did when I was younger, okay? And I had plenty of time to do so. Now, these days, I get bored very quickly. So grinding, it's not for me.
Resolutions. I mean, people are not pulling punches in the slightest. So we have to ask, like, how did all of this happen? How did Assassin's Creed go from being a beloved and revered game, one that Keita has literally been playing since 2007 when he was 11 years old, to the laughingstock of the gaming world, which right now it kind of is. Now, in Keita's mind, and in a lot of gamers' minds right now, this is because they fell into a very common yet very dangerous trap. Putting messaging over quality and virtue signaling over creativity.
It's so lazy to me. I'm sitting here, 6 hours, playing a video game. I don't want to be lectured to. I don't want to be pandered to. I don't want none of that. I just want to enjoy myself. Now, if you're telling a story and, that's a part of the story and it's organic, I don't have an issue. I have an issue when it's obviously forced.
I mean, Keita absolutely hit the nail on the head. I think that we are all just exhausted by years of being lectured at. And the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure that Ubisoft felt the heat, which could be, in my mind, just speculating, and in Keita's mind, could be another reason why they delayed the game like 5 months. They obviously had to see the response online after they debuted the trailer. They noticed the culture changing, especially after the election, and they went back and they tried to steer the game in a completely different direction. Because why? On God's green earth, after making such a big deal over this, important historical black samurai, would Yasuke not actually be a relevant part of the entire game? Why would he only have 15 minutes of game time and then just disappear for the majority of the game? And yes, people have noticed. From writers at Forbes that said Assassin's Creed Shadows has a Yasuke problem, calling him a puzzle piece that just doesn't quite fit, to actual players online saying things like, it's decent, but it has some issues. Yasuke is essentially an afterthought, pointless being him when he isn't an assassin. The more you play it, the more you wonder why. There is no point to his character in the game. Another person said, I am really convinced that Yasuke is an actual token, because at best, he really doesn't add much to the story. He's really just there, and if Naoe was the sole protagonist, nothing in the story would really change. Many have this sentiment. So why even bother making him an MC? Boom. That is what happens when you are message first, story last. It doesn't work. He seems like a token. He seems like an afterthought because the only thought that Ubisoft has was, I know we told people we would have a Japanese Assassin's Creed, but also BLM, it's 2020. We need to have a black guy. And he might have become even more of an afterthought, even more of a token.
I wonder who was the person, the genius that said, like, we should do that. I wonder who.
If they did actually go back and cut down the
there's just-
storyline,
there's-
which
or
ironically,
maybe
if they did that,
collectively they
would
all
have just made
decided.
him seem like more of an intersectionality box to check. And of course, again, if they had really wanted to be authentically diverse, they could have leaned into Japan, leaned into historical Japanese history, and tried to make that a real,
Then again, didn't Sweet Baby work on this game too? It could have been them.
genuine, integral part of the story. But apparently, when they tried to do that, that even fell flat.
It sounds like, Americans pretending to be Japanese. So, like in the movies, they'd be like, you dishonor your family and family and shit. They use the R in it. That's how it sounds in this game. Like, it sounds very racially stereotypical.
But guys, I am not even surprised at this point, because last year, the game developers literally said the quiet part out loud. Take a look at this headline. Assassin's Creed Shadows dev says, it's not a documentary, and Ubisoft is not trying to show Japan from a very clinical or an overriding stereotypical view. And then this one, Assassin's Creed Shadows Japanese setting has been, quote, very, very tricky because Ubisoft wants to be respectful and avoid telling a culture about their own culture. Okay, well, Ubisoft, in your efforts to be so sensitive, to not tell a culture about their own culture, to, not make a documentary, you just turn to stereotypes. You turn to stereotypes and historical characters that honestly kind of exist in a weird gray area of, like, we don't actually know if they were a samurai. It doesn't really sound like they were. So instead, you just made a mockery of an entire region and point in history. I don't really think that was your goal, but you missed an entire opportunity to celebrate a culture, and instead you avoided it and kind of mocked it altogether. And of course, I'm literally getting out of breath at this point, but it
Unintentionally doing so. By the way.
does not help that on top of all of that, they left in all of the gay storylines that they promised last year, which just makes the entire situation in storyline weirder, and this was Keita's take after playing through all of that.
From what I gather, I think Yasuke has like 3 where he could be gay. Naoe has, I think, like 2 or 3. What makes it worse is the fact that Yasuke, whatever you feel about his history, he was a real guy. So put them into a game and then implying that, you know, I wouldn't want nobody to put me in a game 500 years from now and they say, oh yeah, Kata like to sleep with dudes. It's like, no, I didn't. No, don't do that.
And no, my friends, it's not just Kata pointing this out. It's not just one
Okay,
player
that's
here or
true,
there that
that's
is sniffing
true.
out these storylines. Publications like Pink News are blasting these wins for the queer gaming community far and wide. This was an article that came out just last week.
That's true. If they're going to claim that this game is based on facts, yeah, I can see how a game can't be player sexual if you're going to base it on facts. Yeah, I can see that.
They said, you can have hot gay samurai flings in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ubisoft.
That's
That is
so
just
weird.
excellent. That is what we all want out of Assassin's Creed. Just clunky, half-baked, gay.
And I'm the kind of person that loves player sexual in games, like with Baldur's Gate, Dragon Age Before the Veilguard, any other, I guess, Fallout. But that's just fucking weird, excuse me.
And disliked. That is what you have created. I hate to say it, but again, this is what happens when you chase brownie points and not quality. Now, of course, if we're going to have this conversation about Assassin's Creed, we obviously have to, take a step back, take a bird's eye view, and take a look at the entire gaming industry, because this is not just happening with Assassin's Creed. This is far from being an isolated incident. And in general, the gaming industry has changed dramatically over the last decade or two. And I think one thing that really stands out about all of that is how commercialized it has got. I mean, it went from being this more artistic, niche, independent industry into a $200 billion industry in 2025. And amidst all of that, you have these high-quality developers and independent companies that are getting bought up, and the world just became far more corporate, and they chose to focus on mass appeal, aka leaning into culture wars and trying to be as woke as possible. And a perfect example of how this all transpired is Ubisoft. I mean, in 2022, they released their annual sustainability report where they promised to embed DEI in every single one of their creative processes. So if you've been playing Ubisoft games over the last couple of years going, what has changed, my friends, I am about to show you. And yes, before you ask, this was put into place by their Chief Diversity, Inclusion, Accessibility, and Social Impact Officer at Ubisoft. And her name is Rashi Sika, who was hired.
That's a long-ass title. Like, and she looks like Anita Dick. What's her name? Anita Sarkeesian.
In 2020. Interesting timing for the development of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Here she is, this is Rashi, and according to this article that was published around the time she was hired, her role would be to implement more diverse and inclusive strategies and initiatives across all aspects of operations and business. And let me tell you, my friends, by 2022, she had certainly done that. By the time that sustainability report came out, she had implemented and publicized all of these strategies, which in turn impacted all gamers, especially the lovers of Assassin's Creed. Now, in this report, she wrote, "We will create gaming experiences that push representation forward by embedding diversity and inclusion across all of our processes, increasing representation in our teams, and offering access to resources that help build teams to build more authentic, inclusive, and accessible gaming experiences." Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that exactly what you want? And I'm reading this and I'm like, wow, that
Painful.
must be why you picked a black samurai. And I am sure that Yasuke is this woman's crowning joy. So guys, if you want to know why Shadows has a black samurai, why it has gay love stories and non-binary characters and a strong female lead that kind of
The answer to my flippin' question. Her.
comes out of nowhere when Yasuke was supposed to be the protagonist, now you have your answer. And all of this is just so funny to me because in our interview, Kato was talking about how the entire gaming industry has just become overrun by women in the LGBTQ community, and I laughed when he said that, but holy crap, as I dove in, as I did my research for this episode, let me tell you, he was not wrong.
All these writers are like, no disrespect, a bunch of white women that don't really know anything, and they're trying to virtue to other people because they don't have anything else going on in their
Trying to be so progressive, you come off as racist.
lives. Oh, we got a bunch of gay people in here that only want to talk about being gay and nothing else. You look at the games and the people behind it, it's like, oh, all these people are about, the puberty blockers. They're all about the, social justice stuff. Wow, they hate Trump. And then you start noticing the pattern.
I mean, guys, in Electronic Arts' 2023 report, where they basically survey the entire gaming industry, they cited a 30% increase in women in leadership roles across the entire gaming industry between the years of 2020 and 2023. Like, I love you, women. I am one of you. I support you. But I'm really not sure you are helping the gaming industry. Now, in addition to just women, they also took a look at the underrepresented talent category in general, which they increased by 4.
And there are plenty of women gamers, like on Kick, on Twitch. Not so much developers, though. Maybe those gamers should start developing, because there are plenty of females that play games. Not these.
46%, which is just insane. That is a huge number. EA also launched their Diversity in Gaming Fund, where they invested $10 million into underrepresented developers, and they are actively tracking the percentage of games with non-male, non-straight protagonists. I mean, guys, this is literally like the Oscars diversity quotas all over again, where I don't know if you guys know this, but if you want to be nominated for an Academy Award, for an Oscar, your film has to check certain boxes. They are literally surveying the industry. Sorry, too many white guys. Oh, you didn't have a female or a gay person as a lead. Oh, you can't. That is literally what they are doing now to the gaming industry. And all of this isn't just internal. It is also being driven by a huge cohort of consultants that these companies are bringing in, most notably, or notoriously, whichever way you look at it, a Canadian company called Sweet Baby Inc. And guys, They do not hide what their goal is. In fact, when you Google Sweet Baby Inc., this is literally how Google AI describes them. Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consulting firm that works with video game companies to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion within game narratives and studios, but has faced criticism for allegedly pushing a woke agenda. Yeah, that is literally what they are doing. They are pushing DEI 24/7. That is the basis of their company. I wouldn't say that that is alleged. But Google AI goes on, and here's their more detailed breakdown. What they do. Sweet Baby Inc. specializes in narrative development and consulting, offering services like cultural consultation, sensitivity, inclusivity readings, and risk and opportunity assessments. Their core services include working on projects ranging from script writing to narrative design and story reviews, with a focus on ensuring authenticity, you didn't do that well in Assassin's Creed, and emotional resonance in stories. Well, I think the emotional resonance people are having right now is anger and confusion. So I think you should reevaluate what you are doing, Sweet Baby Inc. And this anger and confusion is widespread because Sweet Baby's impact is everywhere. One article wrote, according to the firm's website, it is an inclusion-focused narrative and consultation company building a team
Wait,
and a
let me
process in
repeat
hopes
that,
of
'cause
building
I'm
a
over here
kinder,
thinking
more
about something
focus
else,
on
but-
ensuring
Oh, yeah, we already
diversity,
know about
equity, and
them.
inclusion within game narratives and
We already
studios,
know about
but has
them.
faced criticism for allegedly pushing a woke agenda. Yeah, that is literally what they are doing. They are pushing DEI 24/7. That is the basis of their company. I wouldn't say that that is alleged. But Google AI goes on, and here's their more detailed breakdown. What they do. Sweet Baby Inc. specializes in narrative development and consulting, offering services like cultural consultation, sensitivity, inclusivity readings, and risk and opportunity assessments. Their core services include working on projects ranging from script writing to narrative design and story reviews, with a focus on ensuring authenticity, you didn't do that well in Assassin's Creed, and emotional resonance in stories. Well, I think the emotional resonance people are having right now is anger and confusion. So I think you should reevaluate what you are doing, Sweet Baby Inc. And this anger and confusion is widespread because Sweet Baby's impact is everywhere. One article wrote, according to the firm's website, it is an inclusion-focused narrative and consultation company building a team and a process in hopes of building a kinder, more sustainable industry at every scale. And then they say, what is particularly notable, however, is Sweet Baby Inc.'s client list. It includes some of the biggest
Wow.
names in the industry, such as Valve, which runs the largest distribution service of video games, and Xbox. One of the
And all these companies are failing, by the way. Most of them. They're failing or they've failed.
three main console manufacturers. Other companies that work with Sweet Baby Inc. include 2K, Electronic Arts, wow, shocker, shocking me, Rocksteady, Santa Monica Studio, Square Enix, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers Games, and Wizards of the Coast. And as you have now seen, repeated over and over, they are 100% message first, games second. They literally admit it themselves. And it is exactly the problem that Kata and other gamers have been pointing to.
You look at the people that work there, and it's like, these people don't care about games. They care about the messages that they can use the games for. Gamers don't care for that stuff. Like, we don't care for the politics. Like, I don't care for it, to be honest
Right.
with you. The only reason I said something is because I love games. Like, I
To
don't
push
want it to be
their
corrupted by
nonsense.
people who don't care about
Yeah.
it and only want to use it to platform themselves to be in, like, some kind of virtuous position to say that they're better than you.
And I mean, Kata talks about this all the time. He is so chill about it at this point. He's like a classic streamer, just like hanging out. I'm riled up. This is literally like insane. And people
Because they don't have the obvious credentials to go to where they want to go, so they're using gaming as a platform to elevate themselves, which is ridiculous, smart, and ridiculous.
gotten so fed up that there is literally a Steam community that was created called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected that has over 200,000 members that literally
Thank you, Grums.
just talk about Sweet Baby's impact on games, and they can like detect which games Sweet Baby has touched. And I am sure that they are not the only consultation company that is working in this capacity. There have been so many other recent games that have been impacted by these initiatives, and ones that Kata pointed out were, you know, The Last of Us 2, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and with The Last of Us 2, they basically 100%
Failures.
focused on LGBTQ empowerment. They were praised by outlets like Pink News. They were supported in GLAAD reports. Suicide Squad was a
Last of Us 2 sold 10 million copies, I think, but still, it was off the coattails of the first game. Still a failure, because the first game sold twice as much.
massive flop for Warner Brothers, tainted by woke tropes and race swapping and more. So is there any hope for the gaming industry? And I feel like this is a question that we are asking a lot now because we're kind of having a cultural shift. It's like a cultural reckoning. Everything is coming to
And I was looking forward to Suicide Game until I realized what they did.
ahead. We're seeing who's going to sink and who's going to swim. We're looking at the gaming industry today. And right now, in looking at the gaming landscape, I see no clear redirection. I mean, they are still leaning in, and Sweet Baby Inc.'s client list is still going strong. And even if they did start to take note of how players are responding, like Kata, and try to change course, Kata pointed out that it would take a few years for us to even see this happening due to the way that games are actually created.
There's obviously more games have to come out that have a lot of stuff in it, like, because they take longer to make. You know, a lot of games that we got last
So
year.
we got
were in
some more
development in
nonsense
2020 and 2021. That's why it was like
to be
back to back
released.
to back to back. So we still have more that have to come, but hopefully
The
we stop
pushback,
getting that.
yeah.
But of course, we always have to find the positive. You know, my mom, when I was growing up, she would always say, like, but the good thing is, didn't matter how terrible life got, she would always find the good thing in every situation. So today I'm telling you,
course.
the good thing is, the Kata actually did point to change that is actively happening. Like, veteran writers, veteran developers were jumping ship from these huge commercialized companies to build their own studios outside of the systems to try to
That's right. Like, I heard Rebel Studio is one of them.
get games back to what they were in their heyday. For example, speaking of Suicide Squad, the co-founders of Rocksteady, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, literally left their own company before that game was released. released. And apparently it was because of the way that Warner Brothers was pushing them around and wanted the game to be developed and released. And considering that the game was a $200 million loss for Warner Brothers, I would say that they made the right decision. And in a recent article from this year, their goal is cited as forming a new studio aiming for 100 industry veterans making, quote, cutting edge games. Now, another example of this is the creator of the Resident Evil franchise, who again left his own company after Microsoft bought it in 2020. But his departure wasn't just about Microsoft. His independent company, which is called Tango Gameworks, had been bought up by another company years prior, which then Microsoft acquired. And even then, when it was just his parent company, when Microsoft was not involved yet, it made his work increasingly difficult. In a recent interview, he said that he had only been the CEO at Tango for 6 months before ZeniMax bought it, and although it seemed like he was a representative of the company from the outside looking in, Mikami likened his position at Tango as one more akin to that of a rank-and-file employee rather than a higher-up. Quote, I had blank producer attached to my name, but I wasn't even an executive or anything of the sort. And although he still managed to create several great games at Tango Gameworks, this made it harder for him to work on the more unique, smaller-scale passion projects that he had in mind. Since he went out on his own in 2023, he has been able to work on just that, without the oversight, without the corporatism. And, you know, just looking around the world right now, it seems like there's a lot of that going on. You know, creators fed up with oversight, fed up with misaligned goals or values, whether it be in gaming or in Hollywood or legacy media or conservative media, and therefore branching out on their own so that they can have full control over their work and the messages that they are putting out into the world. And I mean, why would developers not want that? They are at the heart of what they do.
It doesn't seem that conservative media is pushing an agenda, but I'm pretty sure that they are. So they're just trying, just remove politics in general, left and right, and focus on a freaking game, which thankfully is what they're doing. Because if we wanted to tune into left and right, we'd watch the news or get our updates on Twitter for this nonsense, or Blue Sky or whatever.
Storytellers and artists, their games are a part of them. Why would they want corporate gods telling them how to do that? And regardless of the industry, this whole departure, this transition is 100% a good thing. Because if there is one thing that we are learning from this year that we are basically talking about on the show every single day, is that authenticity is king right now. Authenticity is paramount. Creators and artists and builders crave it, and audiences are starving for it. We are all starving for it, literally, in every single creative industry. We want to consume content and art and films and support businesses that feel real and genuine, that are not lecturing us and don't feel like they're bought and corporate and paid for. And gamers are no different, obviously. So today, I am cheering all of those developers on. Anybody who is working on independent games, who have left these big companies, I am cheering you on, and I hope that these new companies start winning. And for all the gamers out there, I hope that you guys get to immerse yourself in epic stories with quality gameplay and great dialogue driven by characters that mean something more than just being an intersectionality box that developers need to check. And I promise you, we will all be better because of that.
Wonderfully said. Subscribe to her, Brett Cooper. But yeah, that was it. Let me know what you think about. Well, first off, before signing off here, super grateful that this nonsense is almost over. As a gamer myself, I've been going through a lot of just gaming fatigue with this nonsense and all this lecturing. So I'm happy, very happy that it will be over soon. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what other gaming videos you want me to react to. Like and subscribe if you vibe. Become a Beaut today. And check me on live streams, which I will be there more often than not. All right. Thank you for stopping by and take care of yourselves. Bye.